On Friday, I showed you some of that deeply disturbing speech by US President Joe Biden, where he tried to denounce Trump supporters or MAGA Republicans as extremists, as a threat to democracy, or as he said earlier, semi-fascists. Now, this is hateful, divisive politicking. This is an attempt to demonise 75 million voters. This is an attempt to turn American against American in order to bolster Democrat turnout at the looming midterm elections. I want to show you some of the response to Biden, but first, a reminder of what he had to say in Philadelphia last week.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
Yeah, now over the weekend, Donald Trump spoke in the same city, accusing the FBI and the Justice Department of becoming politically weaponised and returning fire at Biden.
He's an enemy of the state. You want to know the truth? The enemy of the state is him and the group that control him, which is circling around him. Do this, do that, Joe. You're going to do this, Joe, right?
So that's where we're at, hey? The current president calling his predecessor and his supporters extremists, and that predecessor, perhaps aiming to run again, calling the current president an enemy of the state. This is supposed to be the new era of unity after the Biden victory. And in reality, of course, it's a toxic slide that is continuing. Republican rising star, the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, has weighed in again against Biden as well, attempting to explain what might have triggered the president's dark and polarising speech.
He came in and he opened the border, and we've seen what a disaster that's been. He kneecapped American energy. We've seen how that's hurt millions and millions of people across our country. They've inflated the currency. We have one of the worst inflations we've had in over 40 years. So, of course, people are going to be upset at all the wreckage that he's left in his wake. He is the American Nero. He's a failed leader, and I think that he is doing this because he's trying to energize his base to fend off a real butt whipping this November.
Yeah, base politics is at play here for sure. But for a thoughtful analysis about these trends, have a look at Lance Morrow writing in the Wall Street Journal about why Biden's speech had it all backwards. If there are fascists in America these days, wrote Morrow, they're apt to be found among the tribes of the left. They are Mr. Biden and his people, including the lion's share of the media, whose opinions have, since January the 6th last year, hardened into an absolute faith that any party or political belief system except their own is illegitimate, impermissible, inhuman, monstrous, and a nice touch, a threat to democracy. Yeah, that is so true. It is about the political left being intolerant of other views. It's about cancel culture and silencing dissent and running away from proper debate. And of course, it's something we're familiar with in this country too. Morrow continues, Mr. Trump and his followers, believe it or not, are essentially anti-fascists. They want the state to stand aside, to impose the least possible interference and allow market forces and entrepreneurial energies to work. Freedom isn't fascism. Fair enough. Now, Trump, of course, is very hard line, though. He doesn't respect institutions. And I guess he doesn't so much welcome debate as dare his opponents to take him on. But Morrow continues with the contrast. Mr. Biden and his vast tribe are essentially enemies of freedom, although most of them haven't thought the matter through. Freedom, the essential American value, isn't on their minds. They desire maximum, that is total, state or party control of all aspects of American life, including what people say and think. Who could disagree with that? Biden is demonising those who disagree with him. He's declaring his political enemies a threat to democracy itself. If this declaration that only his political party, only the Democrats are actually legitimate, well, that's about as intolerant as you can get in politics. That's the basis of a one-party state. It's not freedom. It's not the contest of ideas. It's actually the essence of totalitarianism. These forces are playing out in the same way in this country, not as dramatically yet, but beware of this political thuggery and thought control from the left. Respectful disagreement and the contest of ideas are often more important than the ideas themselves.